Hello and welcome to Matchday Live on LCFC Radio for the big one. It's a Christmas cracker on Boxing Day.
That man Vardy again!
It's first against second as league leaders Liverpool are welcome to King Power Stadium.
Oh, what a goal! That is absolute top class!
We've got all the build-up and full match commentary right here on Matchday Live.
And Didi hits in! Saved by Kasper Schmeichel! Oh, what an absolute cracker from Harvey Barnes!
Your place for all the big moments. You're listening to Matchday Live on LCFC Radio.
The Leicester City team news is in ahead of this massive game in an hour's time. One change made by Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers from the side that started against Manchester City last time out, and it comes as Dennis Pratt comes in, Jose Perez drops to the bench, and Harvey Barnes starts as well despite coming off in that game last time out. So they line up with Schmeichel in goal, Ricardo Pereira at right back, Soyuncu, Evans and Chilwell across the back four, Ndidi sitting in front with Tielemans and Pratt either side, Barnes and Maddison supporting Jamie Vardy up front, who has scored 6 more goals than any other Premier League player in 2019. What a year it has been for him. Liverpool making one change from their last game, which was the Club World Cup final against Flamengo last Saturday. And that change sees Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain drop out. He's hurt ankle ligaments. Gini Wijnaldum comes in for him in midfield. So Jurgen Klopp's 11 is as follows: Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk the defensive two, with Robertson at left back, Henderson, Keita and Wijnaldum in midfield, Salah, Firmino and Mane, that formidable trio up front for Liverpool. Just quickly, the subs for Leicester City tonight: Danny Ward the sub goalkeeper, James Justin, Wes Morgan, Damari Gray, Marco Brighton, Jose Perez and a return for Hamza Chowdhury.
Thank you very much, James. Yes, welcome to King Power Stadium, welcome to Matchday Live here on LCFC Radio for this huge game in the Premier League. Excitement has been building all day for this one. It's so busy here as well. There's a lot of media attention here. It's arguably, as we've said earlier, one of the biggest games in the Premier League so far this season. First against second. To take you through it all, Matt Elliott, former Leicester City club captain, is with us here on Matchday Live. Good evening, Matt.
Evening, Daniel. Yeah, looking forward to this one. A lot of expectancy around the place, as you say, the media, hive of activity there on pitch side, reminiscent of the title winning season, although I think that might be one step too far, although, as we've said before, never say never in these parts. But yeah, wonderful prospect and a wonderful game ahead, isn't it?
Before the game against Manchester City on Saturday, we said a similar thing with Jerry in the build-up, that quite often for games that have so much attention to them, they can often be a bit of a damp squib really and not live up to the expectations, but it certainly did on Saturday in that first half in particular. An unbelievable game of football, you couldn't take your eyes off it. Do you think it will be the same again this evening? Because Liverpool won't come and sit back, will they? They'll want to attack and create and score goals, and Leicester, obviously being the home side, will be doing exactly that as well.
I think it's got the prospect of being a more exciting game in terms of a spectacle here at the King Power. I think Leicester were a little bit not negative-minded, but sort of concentrating on containing Man City as best they could, something which ultimately they were unable to do. But it detracted, or certainly sort of drew away from their normal approach, the one we've become accustomed to, in terms of going and pressing the opposition more often than not. Not being sort of as aggressive in their approach and sitting back, which is a mark of respect to Man City, and I can understand that ploy, but they weren't able to enact it properly, as much as they would have liked to, and couldn't really stick with Man City most of the time. So I think on the back of that, it'll be intriguing to see how Brendan Rodgers details his troops to go out there and perform. Will he say, right, you know what, we tried to sit back and contain, doesn't really suit us, it's not become a natural mode for us, let's go and play our regular game, we've proved pretty good at it so far, and go and test yourself against, at this moment in time, the best team, and see how you fare. So I think it's more likely to be the latter. I don't think there would be a repeat of Saturday's performance, but the game itself on Saturday was intriguing for that reason. Leicester always in flashes a little bit of a threat on the counter, weren't they, as they took the lead in the game, and you thought, hang on a minute, here we go, something big could be on, but it proved to be unobtainable in the end. But yeah, Man City were quality on that day.
Well, I think that's probably what Leicester and Brendan Rodgers will have been saying to each other this week, is that you just came up against a team that on their day were brilliant. They have world-class players that stepped up and were world-class.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment, but you can't rely on, and hope and wish for opposition teams to be having a bit of an off day so you can capitalise. If you want to get as far as you can and aim as high as possible, you have to be able to genuinely contend with these teams, irrespective of if they're playing fair to middling or on top of their game. And I think that is a step that Leicester have got to progress to if they're going to fulfil their desires. But I don't know, I wouldn't say they let themselves down. It sounds too harsh, because in respect to what you say, Man City, different class on the day, and they could have possibly done that to Liverpool on occasion. But Liverpool seem to have their number to an extent, don't they? I know they lost at the Etihad last year, but Liverpool compete regularly against Man City, who are trying to be on top of their game on every occasion. They come up with an answer, and that's what Leicester have got developed to. So maybe we'll see a change of tack tonight. We see Leicester going back to their orthodox style and pitting their wits against Liverpool and seeing how they fare.
A reminder, if you're listening and you're about to come to King Power Stadium this evening, to do so a little bit earlier than maybe you normally would, because at 15 minutes before kick-off, there's a big light show inside King Power Stadium here. It'll look absolutely fantastic. It's bound to get the atmosphere going as well, which is something that Steve Walsh spoke about on Monday's episode of Extra Time on LCFC Radio. He said that Leicester need to come out of the traps quickly this evening, and they can be helped by the fans.
This is one of those games where it's going to be a terrific, exciting atmosphere and game. But Leicester, like you say, probably that first 20 minutes will be vital of this game, because if we can get that early goal, then who knows? And we, with the crowd behind us, really get at Liverpool and see, because we are a very fit young team who will keep going to the end now. And we've proved it in a lot of games where we've had to show that resilience. We've done it. We've just got to defend a little bit better than we did against Man City, that's for sure.
Stephen, on Extra Time, Matt underlined the crowd and what part they can play this evening for Leicester City, because if the fans are on the top of their game, that can then filter into the players, and we've seen this place on a number of occasions this season in particular. When Leicester have been winning, I think, cast my mind back the Arsenal game here in the second half. The atmosphere was unbelievable in that second half, and they'll be hoping that from the off again tonight, Leicester fans can bring absolutely everything and really hope that filters and trickles down to the players.
Yeah, I think in the big games, the atmosphere really sparks off, doesn't it? And less so, which is only natural. Same at stadiums all around the country, against the more, for want of a better word, mundane fixtures. They're not mundane, they're all Premier League encounters and all have their own appeal, but against the lower division opposition. But there's been a few people of late, little mentions that the atmosphere hasn't been as intense or as alive as it could be. I think fans react to the performances sometimes. The performances in the earlier part of the season, or the first half of the season, have been scintillating at times, haven't they? And supporters pick up on that. And you almost, I'm not saying you're expecting, a 9 out of 10 performance every week, but supporters know what the players are and this team are capable of. So they're not going to be fervent every second of every game. Some of the performances have been ones where they've ground out a victory, etc. And like at Everton against them, Norwich obviously was a little bit of a stumble in people's eyes, but difficult opposition on the day, weren't they? And Norwich did well. So, but tonight will definitely be a different factor when everyone's been looking forward to it for weeks now, not just days. And the Boxing Day festive spirit, etc. A few people, dare I say, might be partaking in a few liveners earlier on. And of course the opposition, top of the table clash. Even if people don't see Leicester as title contenders, some people feel it's done and dusted. They're still second in the league, and they've got a lot to say in the Premier League this year, and have their own targets to achieve.
You mentioned that Norwich result here last time Leicester were at King Power Stadium, and I think that's probably the source of most frustration, isn't it, for Leicester fans? That yes, they went to the Etihad and got beat, but they got beat by, as we've already discussed, a team that were just on it, and their world-class players were on it. Whereas against Norwich, I think that was the frustrating result, despite the fact they did get a point.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, you look at Norwich, I expected Leicester to roll them over. They did. I was surprised. I didn't think Leicester was that bad. Norwich were very good on the day. They're a team that have got themselves promoted with very good, attractive football, deservedly so, got themselves up into the Premier League and struggling to come to terms with it. But on that day, their game plan, the way they set out, they played it off to a T, didn't they? And they were bright, they were sharp, a couple of talented players, good runs from Pookie, and he caused problems. I don't know, you can't account for it sometimes. You can test yourself and say to yourself that you're preparing as good as possible mentally and physically. It just doesn't happen some days. And again, that's something else that Leicester are going to look at, Brendan Rodgers will look at. Why were we a bit off it against Norwich? It wasn't just because of how they played, but Norwich bottom of the league at the moment, so people will say, well, it doesn't matter, you can come up with excuses. Not come up with excuses, just little reasons, but I think Norwich, you look at them, there's been a lot worse teams than Norwich in the Premier League over the years who haven't even got relegated. So I thought they acquitted themselves well. So just saying hello to David Connolly there, just mooching past, ex-teammate of mine. So listen, that's done and dusted. But there was disappointment then. A few people look at the tight, scrappy performances of late and say, oh, perhaps it was they were just riding across to the wave at time. To me, not at all. Aston Villa, superb. Everton, the majority of the game, excellent. This is without doubt a very, very good Leicester City team. And although the second half of the season might be, or have more hurdles than the first, I still think the ultimate goal will be achieved.
You think so?
In terms of Champions League? I think so, yeah. I look at it. Tottenham scraped themselves a victory today, didn't they, with Chelsea? And then Man United got results, but Chelsea got done today, didn't they? And you look at it, I'd be surprised. I'd be extremely surprised if they did drop out of that top four. One, because of their quality, but also the teams below them. I'm not sure they've had. It's not just a blip they've had. I think they're going to stumble and stutter for a little while yet.
Well, one team that certainly haven't stumbled and stuttered in recent seasons is Manchester City. They had a little bit of a blip earlier on this season, but they won, as we discussed, at the Etihad against Leicester 3-1 last time out on Saturday. Let's have a quick listen back to how that sounded on Matchday Live.
The festive football fixtures are underway and the Foxes have pulled a couple of Christmas crackers to start the busy period of holiday games. Two games as big and as mouth-watering as the traditional Christmas dinner. Boxing Day sees a visit of Liverpool to King Power Stadium, but for starters it's a trip to Manchester to take on the Premier League champions, to Riyad Mahrez. Right side of the penalty area, Vardy ahead of him. Mahrez plays it to De Bruyne at the post. A wicked shot low across the ground, off the outside of the post, and from Leicester's point of view, fall into safety. Brilliant crossfield pass. Mahrez takes it perfectly in his stride and he's in the penalty area again against Chilwell. Dances past in, pulls it back to De Bruyne, and he's off the line from Ndidi. It was Jesus with the shot, and it looked as though it would nestle in the far corner, but Ndidi rallied and got the ball clear. He's back in again. It's Jesus a header down into the arms of Kasper Schmeichel. Barnes waiting for the ball to come towards him. Walker made the challenge, but then he came the way of Chilwell, who releases Barnes. Forward outside his right boot. Jamie Vardy is in on goal there. Jamie Vardy, Anderson comes out, but he's lobbed it over it, and Leicester City have taken the lead against the run of play at Etihad Stadium. It's that man Vardy again. Benjamin Mendy, left-footed ball, switching the play back to this near side and back to Riyad Mahrez, and he's running at Chilwell and goes past him, edge of the area. Mahrez took the deflection it in. Mahrez will claim it against his former club. He has dazzled this evening for his new side, and he's drifted in from the touchline, and via a deflection, Kasper Schmeichel is left in no man's land, could do little as the ball rolled into the net. We're all square again at Etihad Stadium, and it's the former Fox, it's Riyad Mahrez who makes it 1-1. De Bruyne lets that one drop over his head to Jesus. He's done well to hold it up to find Mahrez, who in turn finds Sterling on the far side, will kick the ball in play. De Bruyne and Mahrez looking for the cross. There's more arriving, the Sterling goes down, and that will be a penalty. Ricardo bringing down the England international. The question is, will Schmeichel be in midweek form? He's not. It's put perfectly into the bottom corner. Schmeichel at full stretch had gone the right way, just couldn't stretch enough to stop Manchester City retaking the lead from the penalty spot. It's a full turnaround at Etihad Stadium. And Didi looking to release Vardy down the right hand side. Now he needs support, and Barnes is arriving, and Barnes got there, did he? Colliding with Ederson. It will be a goal kick. Barnes did get a touch on the ball that was filed into him by Jamie Vardy on the right. He got clear of the Manchester City defence, and Barnes was busting a gut to make sure he got at the end of the cross that Vardy sent in. Ederson flinging his body in front of Barnes. Both have taken a whack. The goal, or the ball, didn't end up in the goal. It's gone out for a goal kick. Gundogan touching the ball to Fernandinho, sending out to the far side. Walker sprinting, keeps the ball in play. De Bruyne inside right, coming forward and threatening and going past Sayuncu. And De Bruyne across the face of the goal and touched in from close range. Gabriel Jesus. His 11th of the season. No surprise to see De Bruyne, the creator, his 10th assist of the season, leading the creating charts in the Premier League. And that might just take the game away from Leicester City now.
Your place for all the big moments. You're listening to Matchday Live on LCFC Radio.
Well, you heard Matt in the commentary. It very much was a game that was dominated by Manchester City. Even though Leicester took the lead early on through Jamie Vardy, they weren't. Man City were just the better team on the evening, and I guess as we've already alluded to, that won't have dented confidence too much, I don't think, in the Leicester camp, because of how well they've played this season. They're still above Manchester City in the Premier League. Let's not forget that. So sometimes, if defeats come round, it can knock and dent confidence, but you get the sense that it probably hasn't done too much harm, I think.
Well, you'd like to think not. I don't think there's any reason to beat themselves up. Far from it. Quality of opposition they're up against is as good as you're going to see, especially when they're on that sort of form. But I think there are things that they can look at. Maybe next time round they'll hope to do better, intend to do better, and they'll address certain things as well. I mean, we've already mentioned, the way they sat off and didn't sort of impose themselves, or didn't take a little bit of a risk, maybe, in that sense. Obviously wary of being cut open, but I didn't think the way they tried to go about the game, I don't think they applied it as well as they would have intended. I'm pretty sure of that, because for me, I thought maybe if you're going to let Man City play, it's easier said than done, of course, because they're so quick with their passing, they're interchanging, they can switch play at the flick of a switch, but to show them down one side or the other, because Jerry was mentioning in the commentary about Chilwell's finding himself isolated 1v1 with Mahrez. Nobody wants it. No fullback in the world wants that. Most of them need assistance, double up, as used to happen to Riyad Mahrez all the time when he was playing for Leicester City. And De Bruyne was a problem. Sayuncu wasn't sure whether to stick or twist, and Chilwell didn't know whether to help Sayuncu out, and then it was too late. Mahrez had the ball and was running at him. Problems. That was just one outlet for Man City, probably their most regular and most dangerous on the day. But for me, you've got to take responsibility a little bit of having Sayuncu come across. And if Johnny Evans doesn't want to be dragged across, unlucky sort of thing, come over, we've got to commit somewhere. It was a little bit too open, really, too easy at times for Man City to get in dangerous positions at least. But and also at times I think the defenders could have got there a little bit quicker as well and pressurised the man on the ball. Could have got a bit more help from others. So I don't know. Leicester have shown before they can sit deep and soak up pressure. But when you do it from the outset, it sort of sets the tone of the game a little bit, doesn't it? And Vardy, bigger threat as he was, sooner or later they're going to come to terms with that a little bit. You can't be reliant on just that avenue, even though he was successful on a couple of occasions and ultimately with a goal. But for me, I mean, as a player, you must enjoy it a bit more when you're more robust and when you're more expressive and they're on the front foot. They go, come on, lad, let's squeeze. Let's try and nick the ball off them, upset the opposition, and then you can see how they can react. Cause them a problem, ask them a question. I don't know. I may be totally wrong. I think Brendan Rodgers will certainly like to see more of that. There will be times when you've got to manage the game, and you've got right, the fullbacks, Robertson's overlapping, he's causing us problems. The wide man's got to track back. Probably Harvey Barnes on that side, looking at the personnel, the lineup. He needs to be doubly aware tonight. But what's going to happen. That they're not going to surprise you too much, Liverpool. You know what's happening. It's just being able to contain it. But you've got to be brave, because I thought Liverpool in midfield, Fabinho, I thought was excellent, particularly in the first half. But they close you down. Chilwell was pressured. He was slicing balls out of play. Ricocheting off the back of his own players, etc. And not just Chilwell, but that was just an example. And Liverpool weren't at their best that day, but their work rate and efficiency and their closing down caused Leicester problems and upset their game. See if Leicester can do the reverse to them tonight.
And obviously, concurrently to that, the game at the Etihad, Liverpool were playing over in Qatar in the Club World Cup final. So they've travelled an awful long way. And
to be honest,
do you not buy too much into that?
Not really, it's not as far as it could be in terms of a World Club competition. 7 hours on the plane. It's not ideal. I know the weather apparently wasn't particularly warm out there, so it's not like they're getting a fair weather break. But it was pleasant enough. And I know they had 2 games out there, one with extra time involved. So, but these players, he shuffled it a little bit, didn't he? Klopp shuffled the pack a bit. A couple of key players got a little bit of rest out there, but they've come back with a trophy, a World Club trophy. If anything, I think the trip will put another spring in their step rather than tire them. People say, fatigue's got to kick in, but they've been playing at this level for a year and a half now. They haven't dropped to why they're going to drop off tonight.
Yeah, I guess really then it is like playing a Champions League game in midweek, where you've had to travel somewhere quite far and then you're back in the Premier League at the weekend, which obviously Liverpool playing and progressing in the last couple of Champions League campaigns. They know how to manage themselves, they know how to manage.
But it's Saturday, Thursday, isn't it? It's a bigger break than ordinarily they would get for that even. I think the time when you'll see some sticky performances is in 2 days' time, in the 28th. Leicester go down to West Ham. You don't know how teams are going to fare. I think that's when you'll see some jumbled results, if you like, and performances. I don't think every fixture schedule that it has been, but it hasn't been overloaded for Leicester, I don't think. And Liverpool, as you say, they've had multiple fixtures to deal with, but they're accomplished at it, aren't they? They've proved in the pudding. They've done it before in the Champions League, and they'll continue to do so in my eyes.
Well, as you can hear through the effects mic there, the boos, that's because the Liverpool players have come out onto the pitch for their warm-ups here at King Power Stadium. Now that, Matt, gives you an idea and a sense of this Leicester City crowd and how they're feeling and how excited they are for this game. You never really ever hear that, do you, before a game? The team booed as they're coming out for their warm-ups, and now just as the Leicester players have been introduced to the King Power Stadium crowd, there was a big roar. There's a lot more people in the ground, inside the stadium already at this time than what you'd normally see ahead of a kick-off.
Yeah, there are, people have been told to get there early because of the light show, but also they want to buy into the atmosphere, don't they? They want to go and see Liverpool. Big hitters, aren't they? They come to town, people want to see them warm up, don't they? Especially some of the youngsters, little tips, and just get a bird's eye view of their, the superstar Premier League players that they only see in their sticker book and on TV. At the same time, they want to come watch Leicester City as well, because they're big news these days as well. But quite sure why people are booing them. It's normally a backhanded compliment, isn't it? And I think they'll take it that way.
Yeah, superstars all throughout the Liverpool lineup, and a superstar up front though for Leicester City. That is, of course, Jamie Vardy. He was asked in the week if Leicester could potentially have the advantage over Liverpool after their travelling in the Club World Cup.
No, I don't think that comes into it at all. Every professional footballer obviously prepared to play games no matter where they are. They've had to be on a plane. I'm sure that the recovery will have been done on the plane, so they'll be fresh and ready to go. So we know that we have to be at our best. We know we've got a lot of talent and a lot of ability, and we know that we can hurt teams when we're playing at our best. So obviously a bit disappointed with the result against Man City, but it's all about dusting ourselves off now and getting ready for the Liverpool game.
He says exactly what you said, Matt, that when he was asked, will it make a difference, all the travelling that they do, he said no, it won't for Liverpool because they're used to it. But Leicester will know, and it will be in their minds, that Liverpool did have to do that. So particularly early on, if they can get into the league leaders as early as they possibly can and show that you come into a team that are second in the Premier League for a reason, it's going to be a really, really tough evening.
Yeah, that's right. Liverpool are no fools, are they? They're not going to be taking Leicester lightly. They're not going to look at that result, stroke performance against Man City and go, they've just been riding the wave a little bit, and sooner or later when they came up against someone proper, they fell short and relaxed. They'd be foolish to do so, and I'm sure they won't. Jurgen Klopp and the Liverpool players know the qualities that Leicester have got, but they also know their own qualities, so they'll back themselves against anyone, the form that they're in. But there's a reason why they've only lost one game in the last season and a half. And it's because they've got mentality as well as ability. And, collectively, they can see games out. They've got creativity, they've got firepower, they've got physicality. They are a complete side. Not always playing, say, the attractive football that Man City deliver, but it's equally as effective, if not more so. And they're quite a formidable opposition, but one that can be penetrated. And as Brendan Rodgers has said in the week, everybody wants to be the team that breaks that run for them, and it would benefit Leicester more than most, wouldn't it, in the position that they're in at the moment? Give them extra kudos, generally around the footballing world, but and boost the confidence of the players and show them that they are, as good as some people believe they are.
As you referenced earlier, this game sandwiched right in between those two away trips, firstly to Man City, then to West Ham, which is a very, very, very quick turnaround from this game on Thursday evening to that game on Saturday evening. And Jamie Vardy again was speaking about recovery and how that's the key during this festive season.
It is tough, but I think one thing is it's probably always been the same over Christmas. So it's something that you just get on with. I think as long as you make sure that you're doing your recovery right, then whether it's 2 or 3 days game, you should be fit and ready to go.
What's Christmas like as a footballer, Matt? Because presumably when you have a Boxing Day game the next day, you can't do what I'm sure you did last night, which was, what did you say, go and have a curry and then go to the pub. So is it more just about, is it just another day almost?
Well, not necessarily for me by the sounds of it, because earlier the lads were saying I got fined for drinking on Boxing Day, which I actually didn't. I got accused of drinking. I didn't. I got locked in my house and was late for training. And Mickey Adams went and breathalyzed me. And it came up 0, but he fined me for being late anyway. Cheers for that one, Mickey. Anyway, we're friends now. But listen, the players, they don't need to be scrutinised, do they? They are under scrutiny, but they don't need to be. They're going to look after themselves as much as they will do any other time of year. Listen, you might have a bit of a Christmas dinner. Good luck to you. Enjoy what you can while you can. But for some people, it's Liverpool. I'm guessing in our day, Liverpool would have travelled down yesterday evening, even down here to Leicester. It's not only a couple of hours or so away. But we were many times we travelled on Christmas Day, etc. And it's one of the few hardships of being a professional footballer. I know it is regimental at times, a small price to pay for doing something you love, and the players do it. They say, okay, yeah, discipline, but they don't expect any sympathy, and they won't be given any either, really, because most of the time They're living a wonderful life, the majority of it, and what better way to celebrate Christmas than a victory against Liverpool at home, whether you're a player, supporter, staff member, whatever, isn't it? That would be the best present of all, and you wouldn't mind any sacrifices if that was to come round, would you?
Yeah, both the Liverpool and Leicester players out on the pitch currently for their warm-ups. The Liverpool players doing a bit of a strange little...
Looked like me walking home last night, that one.
Well, let's get a reminder then of today's team news with our commentator, James Fielden.
Yeah, just the one change for Leicester City as Dennis Pratt comes in to replace Iosi Perez. One change for Liverpool as well as Gini Wijnaldum comes in for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's out injured. The Leicester 11, Schmeichel in goal, Ricardo Soyuncu, Evans and Chilwell across the back, and Didi Tielemans and Pratt in midfield, Barnes and Maddison supporting Vardy. Liverpool have Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Van Dijk and Robertson as their back four, Henderson, Keita and Wijnaldum in front, and then the front three, Salah, Firmino, Mane.
Thank you very much, James. We've still got plenty more to come here on Matchday Live ahead of kick-off. We'll hear from Jurgen Klopp, ex-Liverpool man Jan Molby, as well as, of course, ex-Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers, now currently the Leicester City boss, so don't go anywhere.
You're listening to LCFC Radio.
Border Force officials are processing 49 suspected migrants who've arrived in the UK after crossing the English Channel. 4 small boats were intercepted near Dover this morning. 3 family members who drowned in a Spanish swimming pool have been named as a pastor from East London and his 2 children. Gabriel Dia was 52, his daughter Comfort was 9 and son Praise Emmanuel was 16. They died on a holiday resort on the Costa del Sol on Christmas Eve. Paco Gonzalez is a spokesman from the local police union.
One of the security guards who heard the screams was one of the first to dive in. When our colleagues arrived, they noticed there was a security guard in the water doing exercises, but it was hard for him to get out of the water, mostly because the water was so cold and he was a bit stuck.
At least 2 people have been injured after avalanches hit ski resorts in Austria and Switzerland. It's feared a number of others have been buried in the snow. One of the UK's most wanted men has been arrested as he sat down to eat his Christmas dinner. 28-year-old Daniel Burdett from Liverpool was held on a European arrest warrant in The Hague yesterday after 5 years on the run. That's the latest. I'm Anna Bates.
Here's a chance for Albrighton. Time to volley in! Leicester City have a second goal and they have 1 foot in the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Your place for all the big moments. You're listening to Matchday Live on LCFC Radio.
You are indeed listening to Matchday Live on LCFC Radio with me, Dan Bates. Sat alongside me, Matt Elliott, a man who enjoyed a lot of games against Liverpool. It was one of our weekend trivias on Extra Time. Matt, was how many games did you go unbeaten against Liverpool between the years 1996 and 2000?
Oh, how many unbeaten? That's a good shout. I know we beat them 3 years on the trot at Anfield. I'm going to go 5.
7.
7,
yeah. You went 7 unbeaten against them at the end of the 90s.
I know we did all right at home as well against them, didn't we? Yeah. 7 times. There you go.
Well, yeah,
you were better than I thought.
Yeah, you had a good record against them, clearly. And you look at the head-to-heads currently now, though, it's not quite the same story. Liverpool, if they do win, it would be 3 consecutive away wins here at King Power Stadium, here away at Leicester, which would be the first time they'd ever managed that. Also, Leicester have lost 4 of their last 5 against Liverpool, of course, drawing the other one, which was, well, turned out to be pivotal, didn't it, in the title race last season at Anfield. But when you have a record or a run against a certain team, particularly against another team that are very good as Leicester City are, and you know that you more often than not can get the better of them, what is that like as a player?
You're asking the wrong person, mate, aren't you? Hasn't happened to me too often, but as you mentioned there against Liverpool, instantaneously when you ask me that question, I think, well, each game's different and it doesn't have any real bearing. But I suppose looking back as well, say in our instance, we used to think we had the number over Aston Villa. Really, Villa were sort of probably a similar level team to us. They thought they were a level above us, and we would go into games and there was almost a sort of a complex, from them, because we had the number over them, and they knew it was going to be tough and never really performed. So the fact that historical results can have an effect, I think, yeah. I mean, maybe with Liverpool as well, at that time, good players that they've always had, not to the level that they have at the moment, but Liverpool's always been a big club, been an attractive fixture, hasn't it? And we came up against them, but you got the feeling that they didn't quite fancy mixing it at times with us. So, yeah, your record certainly over recent times, can have a bearing without a doubt. But it's something that Leicester City have got to turn on its head a little bit, isn't it? Because they're not alone in feeling a little bit inferior to Liverpool because of the excellence of their performance, the players and results. But they've still got to dig deep, back themselves, remember what good players they are, how good they've done collectively before, but in particularly this season, what a force they've become. Remember those 9-0s against Southampton. Remember the wins against Tottenham and Arsenal, etc. Not that they're that distant a memory, but go into it and impose themselves. Just have those crucial moments. Back yourself. Have that confidence. Don't think, if I did this and I'll make sure I do this, it's too late. Liverpool players are that good, they'll pinch it off you. You've got to be robust in your performance, go for broke, and hope it comes off on occasion.
Yeah, just the one change for Liverpool from their Club World Cup final on Saturday. No Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he picked up an injury in that game, so Gini Wijnaldum comes in for him, but that means the two fullbacks, Matt, will be there again, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson. We'll hear from Jan Molby in just a moment where he underlines how good Trent Alexander-Arnold is, but those two in particular are key to the way that Liverpool play.
Yeah, I was speaking to Jan before, and he was before the game. He's a great fella, actually. He's so personable, and what a player he was. And if you're getting a compliment, as Trent Arnold is, from Jan Molby, then you've got to be a happy man. You must be doing something right, because he was as good as they get in a technical and distribution sense. That's a little bit of mobility. Even I might have given him a bit of a race, Jan, but what a player he was. But I have to concur with him, though. I mean, Trent Arnold I think he's exceptional. And if he isn't already, he very soon will be, world class, and authentically world class. I think could brush up a bit defensively. Perhaps needs to be more astute, more aware in his positioning sense. If you're being ultra critical, but going forward, he's a delight to watch, isn't he? And some of the passes from deep that he fizzes in diagonally and switches of play on a different level to anyone else that I've seen from that fullback position. Robertson on the other hand side, he's got his qualities, his energy, he's relentless and gets forward and up and down. He's an absolute dynamo, isn't he? But doesn't have the level of artistry that Alexander-Arnold has. Yeah, and the odd pass goes awry and he makes mistakes. He's not imperious all the time, but he's an excellent player. But one area where Leicester can look to get in, I think, and again he's top class already and will be one of the best around, I would imagine. Gomez, though, again, he's got something to look at in his positional sense. He gets himself ahead of his defensive partner, whether it be Alexander-Arnold or Van Dijk. He just leaves a little gap and a little chink of light there that Jamie Vardy might be looking in, to run into if the midfielders can get their head up and find that run, find that space at the correct time.
Well, let's hear from Jan Molby then, as the Dane said that the Reds will be determined to continue their winning run this evening.
I think we've already learned from this season. Obviously Liverpool had an exceptional season last year in the Premier League and winning the Champions League. And then the big question is always what happens next? And I think we've seen that. They've gone on again. They've added to their game even more. They've added to just that sort of winning mentality they have at the moment. So every time Liverpool play, it doesn't matter where they play, there's only one thing in their minds, and that is to go for the win. And they've had an incredible ability to get the job done. Sometimes very impressive, other times they've had to dig deep, but they've always found something to win games. Sometimes you get a group of players, actually you get the whole group with the manager and his staff and the players, and they're very, very focused, and they know that obviously we're a good team, so we're successful, it means a lot of games. Let's get our mindset on that, because that's what sets clubs apart, isn't it? You know, who can handle the added pressure and the added games that comes with being successful? And I think Liverpool are going, well, okay, throw it at us, we'll deal with it. And obviously everybody talks about the front three, and the front three are exceptional. Bobby Firmino hasn't scored as many goals as probably they would have liked, but nevertheless his importance to the way Liverpool play is incredible. But I just think that should Trent Alexander-Arnold play this evening, we're talking about a right back, but we're talking about a playmaker playing as a right back. You know, he's an incredible use of the ball, short, long passing, crossing. So I think if he gets a start tonight, I think he's one. Every time he plays, you marvel at something that he does. So I think he would be the one player you'd go, wow. I know Leicester have got an exceptional right back themselves in Ricardo Pereira, but this kid, if anything, is maybe even a step up. He is exceptional.
The only place you can listen to every Leicester City match online. This is LCFC Radio.
That was the voice there of former Liverpool and Denmark midfielder Jan Molby. And he was speaking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, how influential he is from that right-hand side. And as he was talking about that, Matt, we're just watching the Liverpool players doing their warm-ups. And usually, with teams, when they come away, you see that the defence all go off together and do a bit of a defensive-based drill in the warm-up, don't they? And the attackers go and take shots or whatever. But Liverpool, their two full-backs, are right involved in the warm-up, which, again, underlines... In the shooting drill, rather, of the warm-up, which again underlines the important role that they play.
Yeah, I mean, the two centre-halves, they're pinging a few balls across, which is part of their game, switching it, and a few aerial routines. And yeah, the midfielders are involved in the shooting session that they're doing as well. But as I say, the full-backs are a major part of it. But they're trying to reenact or replicate match situations, and it's commonsensical, really. You know, centre forwards are in there twisting and turning, receiving crosses, shots from the edge of the box, headed opportunities, all the sort of opportunities, various types of opportunities that might be coming their way, hopefully within the game. Midfielders, front players alike, all their attacking intent is there, involved, replicating what they're hoping to do when the game kicks off in 20 odd minutes or so. But for me, it's straightforward, really. I mean, Leicester do it in a different way. They've got their regular routine where they're just signing a few shots, etc. But they're not practicing crosses, etc. And different deliveries and receiving the ball in match-type situations. And I'm surprised it's something that more teams don't apply, the way that Liverpool are going about it, because you hear about centre forwards coming on or a substitute coming on, they go, oh, well, that was a little bit of a sighter for him. You know, the opportunity came too early, but you need to be ready from minute one, don't you? And Sané, Mane. I always get them two mixed up. I always get them. Sané from Man City, get them two mixed up. Mane, you know, Firmino and Salah, they're all ready. They're ready if an opportunity comes in the first minute. Not saying Vardy isn't, but they're doing their utmost now. There's another one twisting on his right foot. Salah there, but he prefer it on his left, but he said, no, okay, if it comes on my right, I'm ready to hit it again. And you know, all eventualities are being practiced.
Well, one man that you just mentioned there, Jamie Vardy, is fantastic against Liverpool. He has this brilliant record. He scored 5 goals in his last 3 home games against the Reds. He scored 7 Premier League goals in total against Liverpool. That's only bettered by 2 other players, Andy Cole and Thierry Henry, against Liverpool. But it's something that Jurgen Klopp was asked about in his pre-match press conference, about the threat of Jamie Vardy, and he was asked how to stop the Leicester City number 9.
The only problem we have is it's not only Jamie. It's a massive threat, obviously. He's an exceptional striker, what can you say? Over years, since I'm in England, he's one of the top 3, probably, because he's always scoring, he's difficult to defend, always over shoulder, running in your back, playing with the offside line, really dangerous. So that's how it is. But in football, the only thing you can do is to avoid passes. Try to avoid as many passes as you can to him.
That'll be an intriguing battle, won't it, Matt, this evening? Virgil van Dijk, widely regarded as the best centre-half in the league, certainly, if not the world, up against Jamie Vardy, who is in unbelievable form. in the Premier League in 2019. James mentioned not a single player has got anywhere near as many Premier League goals as Jamie Vardy does in this calendar year. He scored 29. Sadio Mane, who's incidentally second with 23, so that's 6 whole goals behind in the calendar year, which is unbelievable. So that battle between Van Dijk and Vardy is really, really, really intriguing.
Yeah, of course, that's one of the big matchups, isn't it, between the two teams. But what achievement, Jamie Vardy, that is. 29 goals in the calendar year, 6 ahead of anyone else. You know, all the high-profile world stars that are playing in the Premier League, and he sits there pretty at the top, isn't it? Excellent stuff. But is this the light show coming now? I bet sharp then, don't I?
It is. Well, it doesn't make great radio, I don't think. A light show, Matt, so we're still going to have to talk. So all the floodlights have gone off here inside King Power Stadium, and they're coming on, they're flashing. There's huge fire at the far side opposite us here. LCFC is written in lights on the pitch. It looks absolutely fantastic here inside King Power Stadium. The fans are all putting their lights on their phones. The Liverpool fans, though, trying their best to disrupt it, singing their own songs. But this is the kind of thing that rouses fans, isn't it, Matt? And before a big game like this, it's Boxing Day. As you said, people probably have been out enjoying themselves already today before the game. The atmosphere tonight is going to be brilliant.
Yeah, it's bang on, isn't it? And stirring the emotions, isn't it? Setting the scene. The big screens are up there as well, showing the highlight montage. Music's blasting out. Liverpool supporters being drowned out now, just about. And it's setting the scene. What hopefully will be a memorable occasion.
Huge fire. Well, I don't know how to describe those things. That shooting fire right up
isn't it?
Pyrotechnics, yeah, as high as the King Power Stadium roof on that far side opposite us here. I'm sure it's warming up those fans that it's happening in front of. But as you said there, the Liverpool fans being drowned out by the noise now inside King Power Stadium. And as we just see some fireworks going off as well over there, it looks absolutely fantastic. And just looking at the guys pitch side for the television company stood there
looking
in the
over
dark,
their shoulders, aren't they? Hang on a minute. Steve McManaman was worried about his hair catching fire. I mean, it's a little bit of a hazard, I suppose, but they must, obviously, health and safety, they're well checked and well rehearsed, aren't they? But yeah, all adds to the occasion, that's for sure.
Obviously, the players are in the dressing room at the moment. They won't be seeing any of this, but when you're a player and your home ground is absolutely rocking, so that you think of those nights at Filbert Street, Matt, when you had tremendous success there. What's it like even when you're in the tunnel and you're ready to come out and you can already hear it outside, hear the atmosphere, hear how much the fans are up for it? It must make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
100%, yeah. You know, just thinking back at the memories now and still remember that sensation, you know, whether it was at Filbert Street, and particularly reminiscent of Wembley at the moment with the pyrotechnics when we went out a couple of times there, walking from the Wembley tunnel and behind Martin O'Neill, and all the fireworks, it seemed to us, were blazing everywhere, and you thought, wow, what's going on? You know, what an atmosphere, what an occasion. But yeah, without doubt, it's inspirational, but unfortunately it inspires the other team sometimes as well, doesn't it? But it's great to come out back in those days at Filbert Street as it is now. Kasper Schmeichel, Wes Morgan, whoever's the captain there, they're leading the team out with your troops behind you, and you've got your colleagues in arms, if you like, all in the stands, supporting you and boosting you and cheering you all the way, knowing that you're playing together as one, and it creates a wonderful atmosphere, but a wonderful sensation as well, yeah.
And we talked already about how busy everything is here, and the amount of eyes this is capturing the imaginations worldwide, this game, and I mean, this is just adding to that experience, and just being able to be here in the Premier League for a game like this, first against second, with everything that's surrounding it, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, well, as usual, there's huge cheers and roars of appreciation for the effort that's been put in. There's Birchie on the pitch in his blue Santa hat. But already, yeah, it sparked off everyone, hasn't it? They've all got in here early, all expecting, all looking forward to a great occasion, and you can feel the atmosphere bubbling now, just waiting for the players to come out.
Yeah, as Birch is doing his rallying cry to the King Power Stadium crowd. Not sure they need it after that light show. We'll hear from the Leicester City manager, Brendan Rodgers, who was looking ahead to the game.
Well, we had a really good game up at Anfield against them earlier on in the season, where we of course we have to defend well, but we should have come out of that game with a draw. But I think it's a combination of everything. You need to be at the very best level in your game. Obviously, we're playing at home, so the intensity of the crowd can really help us as well. And when the opportunities come, you have to be able to take those opportunities, so as well as defend well. So it's a combination of many facets of the game that you need to be at a really high level, and that's what we aim to do.
Brendan Rodgers obviously used to manage Liverpool. He's now manager of Leicester City, Matt, and a few of the players that he was there with, you look at the likes of Jordan Henderson, that Brendan Rodgers had a big part to play in his development as a player as well. He'll know a few of the guys, obviously a lot of the backroom staff too. When you go back to an old club, or an old club come to you again, what's that like?
Well, I think obviously he's got mixed memories, but majority of them very fond, I'm sure, of being in charge at Liverpool, and it was a wonderful time in his career. He just didn't quite materialise how he would have wanted it to. Eventually did it, and he went on to Pastures Anew and has been amazingly successful north of the border, and he's carried on his good work, hasn't he? So I think, in Brendan's case, it's a little while ago. And I think what's done is done. He's the sort of person who's just going to move on. This is a new era for him, a new project, and I don't think it'll be a matter of getting one over Liverpool. There might have been a small element of that when Leicester went to Anfield. He would have loved the victory even more than usual, I imagine. But if it were to happen now, it wouldn't be a case of look what you're missing. He would just be pleased that it's a sign of progression for the team and the work that he's putting in here at this club.
He spoke about that game at Anfield. Leicester deserved the point, really, from that game. Liverpool probably shaded it in terms of chances, but obviously equalising late. Leicester, we thought that would come away with a point from that game, obviously then for the penalty to be given and scored by James Milner, but he mentioned in that he felt his side deserved the point in that one. So will he be saying that to the players, do you think, right now in that dressing room? We gave them a game, probably a better game than they've had pretty much all season, and that was at Anfield. Leicester play again like that here, you'd think that surely they will pick up something from the game.
You would like to think so. Such is the quality of this level opposition. Sometimes even your best might not be good enough. But that's all Leicester can produce. But if I think Leicester are probably a better side now than they were even that not so long ago time when they played at Anfield. I thought Liverpool, in honesty, were the better team on the day overall, but Leicester were hugely unfortunate not to get that point, and not too many people would have grumbled if they had walked away with it. But like I say, I think they're a better team now. They're more experienced, more complete, that little bit further down the line. At home as well, with that advantage, may well edge them that little bit closer against the prospective champions.
And that's exactly, again, what I'll be saying. This is the team that are so far clear at the top of the league. A win narrows that gap, but I guess it's the case for any team that's top of the league. So I'm sure for Manchester United, it happened to them for years and decades that when they come to whatever ground it is, there's something extra in it because it's the league leaders, it's the team at the top, it's the team that are supposedly the best. Surely that must raise everyone by a couple percentages to go out there and think, well, let's prove that we can beat the so-called best.
Well, yes, you would imagine so, but that shows you what a fine job they're doing of dealing with that, though, isn't it? Because if teams are up in their game that little bit more, week in, week out, then to have that focus, resilience, ability to cope with that dilemma on every occasion, as Liverpool have. People are speaking lately saying they're not as scintillating and convincing as they have been in times gone by. They're grinding out results by the odd goal. But that shows a different quality, really. They're not firing on all cylinders all the time. No team is going to, but they get themselves back into games, never say die spirit. That they can see games through, and and hold on to leads, etc., they can go and wipe the floor with teams as well. But like any teams, they do have frailties, do have weaknesses. They're few and far between, and they're pretty small generally, but they can be exposed, and Leicester will be looking to do that tonight.
Yeah, the atmosphere inside King Power Stadium has certainly gone up a notch thanks to that light show before kick-off. Jordan Henderson is in the tunnel ready to lead Liverpool out here at King Power Stadium for this game. A reminder, if you are listening in on social media, that feed will stop just before kick-off. You'll then need to head to lcfc.com/radio to listen to the full 90 minutes, of course, for free. But it is time to hand you over to your commentary just as Kasper Schmeichel comes out of the Leicester City dressing room. We'll hand you over to your commentary team of Matt Elliott and James Fielden.
Maddison, oh, that is absolutely brilliant! And it's a beauty. Jamie Vardy again for Leicester City. He's up and running. What a fantastic goal!
Touch, back of the net.
Come on. What a delightful goal that is for Jamie Vardy.
All the games, all the goals, and all the big moments. You're listening to LCFC Radio.
Hello, good evening everyone, welcome along to King Power Stadium. Belated Christmas greetings one and all. You join us tonight for the biggest Premier League game of the season so far, as Leicester City in second host league leaders and newly crowned world champions Liverpool, as the country's top two go head to head under the lights here on Boxing Day. What an atmosphere is being created in front of us here. The two teams lining up in the tunnel beneath us at the moment. It is a cold and misty night here in the East Midlands. Hopefully we have some warming football in front of us in the next 90 minutes or so. This place is packed out. Liverpool with 3,000 fans in the away and making noise already, and no doubt the Leicester fans will be using their voices to full effect here tonight as well. Jurgen Klopp peering down at the floor in the tunnel. Jordan Henderson, the Liverpool captain, looking focused. The Leicester City side are on their way. Fireworks, flamethrowers aplenty inside this stadium. What an atmosphere, what an occasion. The two best teams in the country face off here in the day's late game, and after the disappointment of the defeat at Manchester City on Saturday night, Brendan Rodgers' side have a massive chance here tonight to show that they are very much in the mix as they try and cut the gap, the 10-point gap to the visitors at the top, with a first win in 3 league games. The lights are shining brightly here. The Premier League anthem playing, so I can take you through the two sets of team news. Let's start with Leicester City. Leicester boss Brendan Rodgers made one alteration to the team that started the defeat to Manchester City last time out. Jose Perez drops out of the team. Dennis Pratt comes in. Harvey Barnes is starting, that despite coming off in that game against City with an injury last time out. So Leicester City line up with Schmeichel in goal, Ricardo Pereira, Soyuncu, Evans and Chilwell across the back, and Didi in front with Tielemans and Pratt for company in midfield. Barnes and Maddison were expecting to start wide, with Jamie Vardy up front, the Premier League's top goal scorer so far this season. Liverpool have made one change to the side that started the Club World Cup final against Flamengo out in Qatar. That comes in midfield as Gini Wijnaldum comes in for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's damaged ankle ligaments. So they line up with the Brazilian Alisson in goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold is at right back. Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson the back four. Jordan Henderson sits in front, he's the captain. Keita and Wijnaldum either side of him. And then that much feared front three of Mo Salah, Roberto Firmino and Sadio Mane. The team's just going through their final bits of preparation here. Leicester arrive here tonight looking to make amends for that 3-1 defeat to Manchester City on Saturday. Liverpool playing the Premier League for the first time since the 14th of December when they beat Watford 2-0 at Anfield. Since then, as I said, they've been out in Qatar and have beat both Monterrey and Flamengo to win the FIFA Club World Cup. They continue to win. They have an extraordinary unbeaten record at the moment. They lost only one game in the entirety of last season. They have won 16 of 17 games so far this season. Delighted to say that alongside me for this massive game here tonight is former Foxes skipper Matt Elliott. Matt, what a great atmosphere. We've touched on it already, but this place is bouncing.
Certainly is, James. If the game is anywhere near as good as the build-up, we're in for a corker, aren't we? Because incredible scenes here in the last 15 minutes or so. And well done to the technical team who produced that. Still no Jerry Taggart on the montage, but he'll get there one day, I'm sure.
Give him a couple of years. The referee just going through the various bits and pieces in the centre circle at the moment. The official tonight is Michael Oliver. The lights flashing in front of us here. Like a heartbeat is pumping ahead of this game. The team photos going on in front of us. This is the final game of Boxing Day. It is blue against red. It is second against top. It is Leicester against Liverpool. Jordan Henderson and Kasper Schmeichel in the centre circle at the moment. And here we go. A huge roar all around this stadium. The club have already given the fans gifts. Everyone's been given a free drink here tonight. Hopefully this game is something special in front of us. Leicester know their place. Liverpool way out ahead of them at the top of the league. But if they were to win this, then it would certainly shake things up and give the Reds something to think about.